India's entire delegation to the G7 foreign ministers meeting in London is self-isolating after 2 members tested positive for COVID-19. Indian Foreign Minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar isn't one of the positive cases. He will now attend the meeting virtually. Ollie Barrett joins us from London for more on this. Ollie, how is this impacting the rest of the meeting?
Well, from the Indian delegation's perspective, as you say, it means that the Indian Foreign Minister will be attending the sessions on Wednesday virtually. We also know that he has talks with British Prime Minister Boris Johnson coming up later today. Those will also be held remotely as well. India, of course, is not a G7 member, but it was invited to attend the summit. On Tuesday, it didn't attend the full G7 meetings, but it did hold conversations on the periphery of the G7 Foreign Ministers Summit. So the Indian Foreign Minister met, for example, with the UK Home Secretary Priti Patel, also met with the South African Foreign Minister and others. That means that there is now a contact tracing program underway. People are being contacted who were in contact with the 2 people who have tested positive to perhaps urge them to be tested. There may be some other individuals at some point who also need to self-isolate as well. But for the most part, the Foreign Ministers Summit actually continues as planned, just without the Indian delegation in the room. So all of the sessions that were planned for Wednesday continue. All of the other talks continue in person. The UK had insisted all along that this was a COVID-secure summit. Well, we will see.
Yeah, the G7 summit proper takes place in the UK next month. Is there now talks of extra precautions being needed after this scare?
Well, this is a real-time test of what the UK, as I say, described as COVID-secure talks. These were the first in-person, face-to-face talks for G7 officials in 2 years. Britain had said it was important to get people over to this country in a safe way, precautions being taken, including daily testing at all of the venues, perspex screens between the foreign ministers when they hold their G7 talks, limits on the number of people allowed to come as part of the delegations. But what is going to be crucial now is to see whether the infections that have been picked up by the testing that was in place might spread further. It would be a disaster for UK diplomacy if, for example, a foreign minister were to test positive as a result of having come into contact with one of the other delegations. And the UK partly wants to show that diplomacy can now continue around the world, but it also wants to make sure that the G7 Leaders Summit can go ahead as planned in June, with Joe Biden here in person along with the other leaders as well. There will certainly be questions also about whether the Indian delegation should have come in person, bearing in mind that just days earlier, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson had cancelled his trip to India to meet with Narendra Modi because of the COVID situation in that country, and he and Mr. Modi earlier this week held their meetings virtually.
All right, many thanks for getting us up to speed. Ollie Barrett speaking to us from London.